a section in there as well about cannabis education.
Through the chair to the member, projections of revenue. Well, we would like to see the revenue, but it's a business model that does not lend itself towards much revenue. I'll tell you that. It's a very expensive business model. If we could break even this year, not lose a whole lot more money, although second quarter it doesn't look a whole lot better than first quarter, I would say, from preliminary numbers. Anyway, for next year, for 1920, the projection is it'll be up over $1 million in profit. The revenue is going to be like $75 million, but $1 million in profit.
Did I hear you right into saying, Minister, through the chair, that the province of New Brunswick is going to break even selling marijuana? I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, my understanding from the federal government, the whole purpose in legalizing cannabis was to either eliminate or greatly reduce the black market. And yet, we've bundled it so bad, the previous government, and I hope this government changes tactics, but this idea that we need a nanny state to sell cannabis is just frankly ridiculous. And the fact that a government can lose money or break even selling marijuana is even more ludicrous. So I would ask the minister, as the Department of Finance that holds the purse strings, I mean, I understand blaming the previous government. There's lots of blame to go there. But what is this government going to do to stop the nonsense of losing money on the sale of cannabis? And is there any changes that would help the Department of Finance increase that revenue rather than Joe on the street selling it for a third of the price?
Yes, it's hard to imagine not making money on drugs, but you know what? There is some hope in that there's some StatsCan numbers out there that say the number of users has stayed stagnant, and so that some people are choosing to buy it from us rather than buy it from the black market. And for what that's worth, 1920, our 18-19 budget, we had estimated profit going to be $1.2 million. The revised numbers take it to flat, just trying to break even. Next year, the estimated profit from cannabis will be $1.6 million. Edibles, topicals will come in October, and that is going to be adding to the business. The supply from Health Canada is getting somewhat better. We're up to like 8 suppliers now from where we were 4. And when they do have adequate supply, then they sell it. But supply is an issue, that's for sure. And what happened is Health Canada has issued a lot of licenses to grow, but not a lot of licenses to sell. And it's a different process. So we continue to work with them on that, but that's been a little bit slow. We do have the cannabis duty. They do expect that to be in 1920, about $8.25 million off the excise duty.
So government has an issue with supply, and yet the black market has no issue with supply. The government can't make money off this, but the black market is making lots of money off this. I just don't understand why government feels the need to be in the retail of cannabis, or alcohol for that matter, but we'll leave alcohol alone, specific to cannabis. And if you look at, well, I'll ask the minister through the chair, what has it cost taxpayers to lease the stores, to get the setup, to buy the fancy equipment, all the modern stuff in the stores, the apparatuses that go with the retail sale of it, the packaging, everything that it took to get this retail version of government selling pot? What numbers were we looking at for that, to get that set up?
How many stores? 20. To answer the first part of your question, through the chair, to the member and leader of his party. To answer the first part of your question, the government has different regulations. So Health Canada has to test each plant for the amount of THC in it and maintained so that they know exactly how much of the drug is in each plant. And the same thing with the edibles. They have to know absolutely strictly how many grams. When you go down to the corner and buy from Buddy down there, you don't know exactly what's in this stuff. And I liken it to going down the corner and buying a bottle of moonshine from somebody. You know that it's clear, but you don't know if it's water or you don't know if it's alcohol. You don't know what the level of, you don't know if you're going to get drunk off of one sip or you're going to get drunk off of 2 bottles. And so Health Canada is what standardizes that. So they know exactly how much is in each joint of the THC, of the cannabinoids, whatever the stuff is. And they know what's in each cookie, and they know what's in each chocolate bar, and so on and so on. The second part of your question, how much did it cost to set it up? $800,000 per store. There are 20 stores. There originally was a recommendation from 14, ended up being 20 stores, and it's $800,000 per store to set it up.
So is my math right when I say 16 million to set that up? So I want people to understand this and just let that sink in for a second. So not only are we not making money off the retail version of selling cannabis, but in essence, we are actually subsidizing the sale of cannabis to people in the province. $16 million to get set up. We broke even last year. We're going to get approximately 1.6 million next year. And if this model carries on, we could be 15, 16 years of ever gaining any ground on this nonsense. I cannot believe that government in any way, red or blue, would think this is a good idea. And I guess the question I will ask the minister, is it or is it not time to privatize Cannabis NB?
I would say that it's early days. When you've set up a business that is only 5 months old, I don't know that it is time right then to say, okay, let's flip it over. Having said that, this government is all about listening to people and talking to people and being transparent with people. And if it comes to be a good model, that's great. I mean, you know what? At the very least, we're going to have to really look at the business model, because the business model that's in place now, I don't think is, I agree with you. It's not a good business model. It's hard to make money on it. It's too expensive to run. But are we going to change it right away? It's hard to say change it after only 5 months. So I'd like to give it a little bit more time. I'd like to see what the edibles and the topicals, when they come in the fall, what they do. But we're open to any suggestions for sure.
Thank you, Minister. And I will offer a suggestion. Privatize it. Get government out of the retail side of it. Let the private sector do what it does best. And government worry about being government. Healthcare, education, infrastructure, your basic social programs. This is what we are supposed to be doing, not retailing joints and beer through some nanny state stores. It's just ridiculous. And I mean, when you look at it, you've given me the numbers. We've barely broke even, if we broke even at all this year. Next year's 1.6. Unless people are going to rapidly take up using cannabis, I don't see that increasing. And I think just to sit on it is a bad move. I think we have a chance here to get out of that and focus on things that government should be focusing on. But I appreciate your honesty in those answers and the upfront numbers that you gave there. I guess in closing, we'll continue to look at the finance department, the numbers, and offering suggestions and ideas to increase revenue, because you know, we certainly can't tax anymore. We would oppose any increase to taxes. As a matter of fact, we think the opposite needs to happen. We have to reform the tax system, lower taxes on one side, increase taxes on another, specifically to large corporate interest that we, believe is not paying their fair and reasonable share of taxes, and get the finances back in line through revenue streams. And I think if we can get the private sector more engaged in doing what they do best rather than government doing it for them, I think we would see some growth there as well. But thank you, Minister. Thank you, staff, for providing those numbers and that input.